Discover how the Maryland Stem Cell Research Fund is accelerating cures.
My name is David Hackam. I'm the Chief of Pediatric Surgery at Johns Hopkins University and the Surgeon Chief of Johns Hopkins Children's Center. And our project focuses on engineering human intestinal stem cells for treatment of diseases that affect children. So the diseases that we're trying to fix come in really two varieties that affect children in Maryland, but also all over the world. The first is a population of babies that have a condition called necrotizing enterocolitis, or NEC, or NEC, which is a devastating disease that affects primarily premature babies who are generally relatively stable in the neonatal intensive care units, doing their thing, growing and developing, and then out of the blue, they develop an intestinal problem that is characterized by sudden abdominal distension, passage of bloody stools, and overwhelming sickness and sepsis. And it's a disease that affects up to a third of premature infants, especially the very low birth weight infants. And premature infants overall, about 1 in 10 will have this condition. And yet many parents have never even heard about it until their own baby suffers from it. When, as surgeons, we are asked to operate on these little babies, we find that their intestine has gone from pink and healthy to violet and essentially dying. And so we have to remove that intestine. And for babies, this is a big deal through the surgery. And if they survive the surgery, and many don't, but if they survive, they're left with insufficient bowel, a condition called short bowel syndrome. And so this technology, using human stem cells to correct their loss of intestine, is the first project, the first application of this project. The second application is for a wide number of patients, children as well as adults, that have chronic intestinal conditions in which their own intestine just stops working. And we seek to identify genes that are expressed in the human intestine in various different models that we can then turn on and turn off in patients as a way to treat their diseases by targeting their own stem cells. So we are definitely in the lab, we are definitely working with human intestinal stem cells. And these are stem cells that we direct into being intestinal stem cells. So these are the so-called iPS cell technologies that we use. We direct them into human intestinal stem cells, and then we implant them into mice that have one of these various conditions, say short bowel syndrome or another problem. And then we take these stem cells and we evaluate the genes that are turned on, the genes that are turned off. And in those genes that are turned on in this disease, we assume that this is the body's response of reacting to this disease, and it's just not doing it completely enough. And so we use this to find drug targets to either enhance or to shut down their own stem cell properties. And the Maryland Stem Cell Research Fund has been really pivotal in helping advance this work. And it represents a commitment to this kind of fundamental research that we're incredibly grateful for, because without this research, we would not be off the ground even. This was presented to the Maryland Stem Cell Research Fund as an idea that we could maybe do this. And we were funded through the mechanism that essentially takes an idea, invests in the idea, and allows the investigator to deliver on the promise of that idea. So what we hope to do is to take these babies, have them survive NEC, which is in and of itself a major milestone, and then have a life of normalcy where they can learn, they can eat, and they can reach their full potential. What we hope to do is not just save their lives, but allow each of these children to reach their full potential so that the condition that was caused early on in childhood is not something that they have to live with forever. And that's what this research, that's the goal of this research, and that's my hope and dream for these children.
Accelerating today's stem cell research into tomorrow's cures.